wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to FTF.GG. I'm glad that we got the stream settled and we are ready for the second chance race, the third race of the evening. Another 40 laps here at the Majestic Bankings of the Daytona International Raceway to qualify the next 10 drivers into the event. We've already qualified 26. We're looking for the next 10, and this will be the final race of the evening. Tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time will be the last chance qualifier with 30 laps and 3 guys advancing from that race. And then at 7:30 p.m. right here tomorrow is the 11th annual WINSTEL 400. I am joined beside me, Tyler Head, a man who qualified himself into the race in the previous heat. Tyler, you were a part of the craziest race that we've seen in really a long time. Between the heats of last year, the duels of previous years, like you were a part of one of the more chaotic races. Do you think that is the fact that we don't have as many people locked in to the race, the fact that we are having more participation? Like you said it yourself right when we were talking a bit before the stream, is that nobody's been locked in. Just what was the energy like in that pack?
It was definitely tense. I mean, there were points where I was running in the top three. They were seldom, but there were those points, and I did not feel very secure running there. And part of that's because we have a lot of talented drivers who've chosen to participate in this event, which we're all very thankful for, and I appreciate being able to race with everybody here. Part of that is the lack of lock-ins, as you mentioned, but it's also the change in this event for this year. We're used to running on the bumpy high banks of Daytona 2007 with a spattering of different kinds of cars over the years. This smoother, newer Daytona, along with these Gen 6 cars, is a combination that results in really big runs and really big changes in speed and acceleration in a short amount of time. So that all contributes to not feeling very secure almost no matter where you are in the pack. And I expect that to only be amped up even more because we've got a few more cars running in this race. These are all people who tried and for one reason or another did not make their way to the WINSTEL 400 through the heats earlier this evening. So they're going to have a higher level of urgency, and there's fewer spots for them to claim.
Yeah, a lot of regular WINSTEL participants not locked into this race, and I don't think we're going to end up getting them all in. Real quick, I believe it's you, McGee, and Bates who were originally part of the first event of this back 11 years ago. What has caused you guys to keep this event going on? And I mean, it's literally the longest running event on iRacing. Like, what is the meaning behind like just keeping it going? And what's helping you guys like just do this every year? Is it just for fun? Do you enjoy the community, the event? Like, what are the reasons why you guys keep putting so much time and effort? Because this is really like a 6 months in the making type of event here.
Well, I don't think that any one of us individually or even that could limit it to that group of three as all being the ones that make it happen. Obviously, you're a big part of making this event happen through Brandon Cruz DFS. Emily Howe, who is racing tonight in this second chance race, is a big part of making it happen. And throughout the years, there have been several different admins, Dylan Roberts, Hayden Raypaw, a spattering of others that have helped out in one point or another, and even just regular members of WINSTEL that do a lot to help promote the event, help us generate setups and everything. But all of it boils down to, for everybody that I just said, recognizing that this is a great event for the sim racing community, in my opinion. It's a great way to give back. It's a free to enter race, so it's really all for fun until you get to the payout, and then there's some reward for that fun that you've hopefully had at the end of the day. But for 11 years running now, this event has sort of been a love letter to the sim racing community from Brendan McGee and then everybody else who's hopped on to help make it happen from year over year. So I think that we can see the result of that and how many people we have choosing to participate with us this year. The amount of fun that people are having while they do it. Now, that's not to say that every single lap is fun. Everybody has their trials and tribulations, right? But on the whole, this is an event that people look forward to. And that results in a lot of passion from the people who are participating, but like you said, from the people who are putting it on. So I'm glad that you do so much to help make it happen. I'm thankful for Brennan having this idea 11 years ago and keeping it going all this time, and especially thankful to everybody who chooses to run in it. It doesn't happen without the participants, for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Tyler. As I mentioned in the previous heat race, everybody ran a time or a qualifying time to get their track position in that one. We had 32 out of 35 cars take a time here. Right before we start going down the starting grid, I just want to go over the $1,000 purse for tomorrow. Your winner is getting $225. Second place, $125. Third is $100. And we're paying all the way out to 20th. Yet again, as you mentioned, this is a no entry type of event. So I mean, all you got to do is just show up, race your way in, and possibly make some money for tomorrow. And that's just really another reason why I enjoy sponsoring and giving back to this race in the community. Like you said, as we start going down the grid for this race, Alex Kolonix, the man who has had 2 previous WINSTEL 400 pole positions, is going to win the pole for the second chance race here. Gabe's going to be starting second. Ben Hancock is going to be starting in third. Evan Latch is going to be starting fourth. Jonathan Hernandez, a man who spent a lot of the time in the top 10 in the previous heat race, going to be starting fifth. Emily Howe starting sixth. Parker Alexander starting seventh. Sean in the number 12 machine going to be starting 8th. I imagine these 3 drivers will be working together pretty much through this entire event. Joseph starting 9th. Brian Baker starting 10th. Chris Hancock starting 11th. And Chris Champo starting 12th. Let me just go through this real fast. Sorry. Ryan Hill is going to be starting 13th. Anthony Krobach 14th. Jeremy B. Davis 15th. Jonathan Schwartz is going to be starting in 16th. David Cornelius in 17th. Brock Whitehead going to be rounding out the top 18. Thomas Herman 19th. And Corey Bonat is going to be starting 20th.
And looking at row number 11, that's going to be Justin Howe and Ryan Kane. Starting in 23rd is going to be Andy Trupiano with Tate Lytle 24th. Joey Masowitz in 25th. Matt Skipper 26th. Lilac Zier 27th. Roger Saucier 28th. Scott Tompkins 29th. And Olivia Hayward is going to be starting in 30th. Looking at our final 5 starters, Shane Ward 31st. Josh Burnett 32nd. Dustin Logston 33rd. Ken Huff 34th, and Hayden Rapaw rounding out the field in the 35th position. As the field is pacing on the backstretch, they'll be taking the green flag in about half a lap.
Yet again, quick reminder that the top 10 finishers in this race are going to be qualifying in, and there are a lot of big names not locked in yet. Alex, as I mentioned, a man who started on the pole previous races here. Ryan Hill, who's come close to finishing the top 5 of the WINSTEL 400 multiple times. Jeremy B. Davis, and then clearly, Emily Howe, Parker Alexander, names who are always up in the front towards the end of the WINSTEL 400, still haven't locked their way in. I think this is going to be an absolute bloodbath of a race. We got 40 laps. Heat number 1 didn't see a yellow flag until lap 23. Heat number 2 saw it very early, around lap 9. And so this is a situation where I think we have one chance to go green. If we get a yellow early on lap 6 or 7, I think it's going to just be a yellow flag fest with everybody trying to fight their way into the top 10. Alex Kolonix leading the field to the trial, where we're going to see the iRacing pace car duck its way down the pit lane. The 6 car, Ben Hancock, trying to get right behind Alex. The green flag comes out, and these drivers are racing for another chance to lock their way into the WINSTEL 400.
35 cars racing for 10 spots. Keep an eye on the top 10. Those will be your transfer once we have completed this race. Very early on now, a lot's going to change. Don't get too wed to who's running in the top 10 right now, because it's sure to change as a lot of shuffling happens to get down into that bottom lane as we get going. Kolonix out front.
Emily talked about it in the last race with me, and I'm sure that you and Parker talked about it as well. But at this point, everybody has been on the track. Everybody does have experience with this setup, even if it was only those 40 laps, as we see an early block for the 10th position with Anthony Block and Ryan A. Hill to the yellow line. And you can pass them to the yellow here, but that is certainly a block that Ryan Hill was not expected to. We're seeing the outside lane kind of check up with Evan and Emily. Emily is going to end up leaving that 86 car and work in the inside lane with Sean right behind her.
Yeah, Evan Locke looking for a friend right now and not really finding it up there alongside the wall. That frees up the space for Emily Howe in that 83 with Sean Pellig in the 12 right behind, trying to make some headway in that top lane as we have 6 cars single file at the front of the pack, the double wide back.
So this is a situation that we really didn't see much in heat number 1 until Emily and I got together with that outside lane, or outside middle lane kind of ended up being where you want to be to make positions here. I think the WINSTEL drivers in that 12 and that 83 are going to be very easily getting up to the race lead, probably out of turn 2 this next time by, as everybody else is pretty much double file throughout the field. We do have some separation around the 24th place position, but outside of that, everybody just kind of riding in line, trying to bide their time. Do I want to try and get up there? I don't really want to go to the third lane and get left up, as we do have a checkup on the inside lane, and that should help the 83 and the 12 car get all the way up there as they break into the top 5.
Yeah, alongside, looks like Parker Alexander right there for the 5th position, inching up there. It's something I want to touch on. In our heat, the second heat, there wasn't a lot of green flag racing, so the handling didn't come into it very much, but it seemed that as the tires wore out, the top lane got stronger. You participated in that first heat. Does that ring true? Do you feel like that was part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what really helped us in that heat was we just had, as we're having here with a lot of the WINSTEL drivers working, trying to make that third line work, as Emily Howe jumps the outside lane. Sean right behind her. They're dropping that 6 car through the middle. Nobody giving Ben Hancock any help right now, as he's going to fall outside the top 5. They're trying to get 3 wide outside of the 6th position right now. They're going to duck back in line. And the fact that we have so many people here that have actually worked together, who want to work together here. We do have Kolonix kind of working his way up to try and slow that outside line down. They nearly made contact, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to be curious to see, and they are. Emily and Sean working their way down the inside lane. They are now in control of the race.
Yeah, there was a big shove from Jonathan Hernandez to Kolonix on the back straightaway, but that was answered and then some by the 83 and 12 tandem up on the top side. Now they get down in front to control this pack. Ben Hancock has found his way linked up with Parker Alexander on that high lane, coming back towards the front.
Andy Trippiano, a driver who was involved in multiple instances, none of his fault in this last heat, working the 14th position, as we see the transfer position right now going to Corey in that 34 car on the outside lane. It's probably going to drop to Jonathan Hernandez as the outside lane gets more and more momentum and we start having more guys get past that inside lane.
Yeah, all stacked up double wide right now, all throughout the field. This is the point where you start to wonder, especially if you're running outside that top 10, let alone outside the top 20, do you jump up into that third lane? Do you try to make something happen? So far, everybody's trying to keep patient, although there's some big checkups happening. One, that's going to risk a wreck, but two, it's also going to make you discard that patience and look for a move to make, because as each lap goes by, your time runs out. Look, somebody's shoving it middle up there towards the front. It's the number 95, John Schwartz. And Ben Hancock is again the one kicked out of line to make it happen.
Ben worked his way back up there, now just stuck on the outside lane. They forced it 3 wide, and poor Ben, he's going to fall all the way from 3rd, and he's going to easily be outside the top 20 when they come across the start-finish line this time. But if you are...
Oh, we got a car around!
Big wreck. Got 1 car upside down, flying on the outside wall. That is Thomas Harmon in the 68. I believe that is a Frozen machine. I just saw him upside down. Other cars involved, looking like it is Olivia Hayward. Can't see anybody else with damage, but Thomas going for a heck of a ride in turns 3 and 4.
Looked like David Cornelius was also involved in that crash. Looked like one of those stack-ups may have contributed to it. Let's see if we can get a look at it. And they're 3 wide there with Ben, who was just put out of line. And yeah, they just get stacked up. A couple cars get bumping into each other. Man, a massive impact. A lot of air for one of the cars involved. There's a fast repair available, so the race is not over for these folks that were just involved, but obviously behind the 8 ball early.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before the heat race started. You know, we were looking at around lap 8 and 9 on heat number 2, getting that yellow even a bit earlier here. We've mentioned it. I can't stress it enough. The pressure that everybody is feeling here. I would argue that there's at least 20 drivers in this race that easily feel like, yeah, I'm going to race my way into the WINSTEL 400. I'm not going to have to go through a second chance race. I'm not going to have to go through an LCQ. I'm going to race their way into heat number 1 as we get a replay of such a violent impact that 68 had as he was heading back towards the ground after going to space. That was brutal.
Yeah, what an onboard there from Whitehead as the 68 of Thomas Harmon just went flying over that car and down onto the apron, back up towards the wall. He is now back out on the track, having used the fast repair, so in the race, but like I said, at a bit of a disadvantage with still more than 30 laps left to go.
As we look at your leaders, Parker Alexander, who has just had an awful heat number 2, started second on the first row. I don't think he even saw the green flag higher than that, because as soon as we went into turn 2, he was already being forced out of line. I think he came across the start-finish line on lap 1, probably in like 8th, and I don't think he ever saw the top 10 again. He was involved in every single incident, and they just kept on wrecking in front of him. And now this is pretty much how he wanted the first heat to go. Emily Howe, a driver who was right with me, inside the top 10 the first heat, she's up there. Sean, who in his own words did everything right and still got involved in a wreck in heat number 1, he's up there in 3rd. Alex, I mean, these are absolute big names that I think are just gonna, I think they're actually gonna end up working together. I do think that the WINSTEL group is probably not going to be nearly as aggressive, maybe if it gets down to, you know, a green-white checkered, or if they really are fighting for 10th. But I think Parker, Emily, Sean, even Alex, Gabe in the 04, I think they're all going to try and work together here and get in the same line.
Yeah, there's definitely, within these races, there's always clusters of people who are eager to work with each other because they're familiar with each other, they trust each other, and right now at the front of the pack, we have 3 in a row that are used to racing together and very comfortable working together. But it's going to be a challenge to keep it that way for sure, especially with the way that this racing package is. If they're able to keep it up there throughout the remainder of this race, they will have earned it, because the runs, as I've said, come very quickly, and the air, if you get put out of line, as Ben Hancock can now tell you if we were to drag him down here, makes you lose speed very quickly when you get shuffled out of line. So definitely a challenge for anybody who's working together, and certainly when you get to the end of this race, your friends will be where you find them, especially with only 10 spots available. If you're racing anywhere between 5th and 15th, for sure, there's going to be a choice to make between helping yourself and helping somebody else.
Yeah, you mentioned Ben Hancock, the man who started 3rd, currently residing 22nd right now. Still 30 laps, a lot of things can happen, but I would imagine the driver of the 6 is pretty frustrated. When we look at this restart, I would not be shocked to see the 12 car leave room for that 83 to jump down. I think that's going to what they're going to end up doing. If they can't do it initially on the restart, it'll probably be out of turn 2. As I go through, did McGee end up running a 100% fuel cell here, or are we still running the shorter one that we did in the other heats?
It should be the same 60% fuel cell. The idea being that the heat and the second chance race presented basically the same challenge as far as what you need to do on the racetrack, pit strategy wise and racing wise. Of course, it's a little bit more challenging because there's some more cars and there's fewer spots available, but everything else is equal. We're getting ready to get going here.
Very curious, because I didn't see many people pit if it was that 60% fuel cell. You can only go about 24 laps. That's why I was asking there. As the pace car ducks its way down the pit lane, again, the WINSTEL Machinist Union leading the field through the restart zone this time by. We're seeing that they get a very even start. Sean leaving that lane, but Brian Baker in that 3 car trying to push Emily past that, not giving her the chance to jump down, but she's going to jump down with the lead. She's going to go to the inside lane as we kind of have a bit of a checkup in the field for around 18th position. Everybody else still double file.
Yeah, that looked like a little bit of a coordinated restart there to get Emily and Parker linked up together there as they come off the back straightaway here. They're linked up, but as you can see, Jonathan Hernandez giving a huge push to Baker to surge them out into the lead. We'll see if they take the bottom as Gabriel Mauricio way underneath the yellow line gets it back sorted by the time they get back to the banking. But boy, that was a moment.
We're still under green, but if you're Dustin Longston running in the 30th position, Ken, if you're Jeremy B. Davis, you hit the brakes there. You have, if this goes green, I don't think you're qualifying for that event. We did end up staying green with Gabe saving that car as he was pointed sideways towards the inside safer barrier. Right now, I'm going to argue that we have about a 17-car length lead. If the second pack can get lined up, they're going to be right back up there, but right now it's just 17 cars under a blanket following that little sideways scuffle down the back straightaway the previous time.
Yeah, looking at where the gap is between, oh, we got a car getting turned. It's Anthony Kroback trying to get it gathered up. The number 23 over into the grass. And almost coming back into the field, and he does!
He brought it into the field! What are you doing? No, there's still yellow coming out right now. I don't think the admins are going to be happy about that one bit. That was going to be a one-car incident off the racing surface that did not need to be a yellow, and that has taken out really that second pack that I had just mentioned, guys that had slowed down for the first wreck. I mean, he came back up the track like a bullet. I can't believe I just witnessed that.
Yeah, you had just called out Dustin Logston as, amongst that group that needed to giddy up and get back up to the draft. Well, now he has bigger problems because he's the one that got absolutely nailed here. You see Anthony is fighting with it, trying to get it back under control, hops over the grass, and right here you think maybe if he puts some more wheel in it to the left, he could keep it under the yellow line, but he corrects into it, and the car goes back up into the pack, and Dustin Logston just has nowhere to go. Here's another angle.
I mean, I know what it's like to try and save a car, and I mean, I'm not trying to throw Anthony under the bus there, but that is a situation where you kind of have to take one for the field. I think that was an unnecessary yellow there. Can we get an onboard of that 23 car?
The problems piled up for Dustin Logston too, because the engine gave out while he was coming back to pit road. Yeah, you see sawing on the wheel, and just that little bit of a correction back to the right puts the car back towards the racetrack. If he was holding the wheel to the left, it may have still gone there, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, Dustin taking that tow, and he's going to end up he might end up going 2 laps down at this point. I know he did have a faster pair, and as we do see the field pitting here, so it looks like they are going to go 24 laps on fuel, so it's going to be a close one getting to the end of this.
Yeah, I have to wonder if that's we see pit road is becoming a busy place right now with everybody coming in. Anybody taking tires? I see some 4 tires, but I have to think there's going to be some fuel only. Track position easy to lose, but can be very hard to gain, so it's definitely a premium.
I'm trying to understand what the 4 up front are doing. I mean, these are the guys that I want to run with. I know Emily is the brains behind this strategy. I'm very perplexed seeing just these lone 4 drivers staying out while the entire field went down pit lane here.
Well, I'd have to say that this is prioritizing, 1, being grouped up with the people that you're comfortable making speed with, and then 2, prioritizing track position, staying ahead of the mayhem over what will be a shorter pit stop whenever it needs to happen. They're going to not have to take as much fuel as they would have previously because we've had these caution laps, but they will have to take more fuel than everybody that just came in. So there will be a trade-off there. We'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, everybody going down pit lane this time, it's looking like they're going to be having to pit right around lap 37, 38, 39 if this ends up going green. I think this is very much a play, kind of like you explained there, of these 4 drivers kind of expecting more yellows towards the end of this race, so everybody's going to have to pit again, and they're not going to be able to, or they're not going to lose that track position that they've gained here.
Yeah, it looks like we're doubling up here, taking 1 to go possibly right here at the line. It'll be 26 laps to go when we get this race back going. Still a long way to go, a lot that can go right if you found your way to the back of the pack through this opening portion of the race, and a lot that can go wrong if you currently are in the transfer position, because we've seen in the first 2 heats things change in a hurry.
Looking at some people topping off the fuel cell, Hayden, Olivia, and Thomas on pit lane right now, getting there, just trying to get a little bit more gas, possibly staying out if the field does have to come down again. I mean, at this point, if you're outside the top 28, I think that's the play that you got to go. Dustin right now is still 1 lap down, so if he can end up getting out before they come back around, he will be the only car 1 lap down and get that wave around, or the lucky dog if we do get another yellow, which I would imagine we will. So I don't think Dustin is necessarily out of this competition, but he is going to need help here.
Now, you mentioned the folks topping off. Expectation for fuel was about 23 laps, I want to say, with about 11 gallons in the fuel cell being the max, with the 60% fuel put on by the event organizers. So I would not expect you to be able to save those 3 laps and make it all the way, but it's going to make it so you take even a smaller splash of gas whenever it is needed in these closing laps. And who knows? Maybe they find a way to be very frugal with the fuel. We'll see how it works out for everybody that just topped off too. We've had complete extremes at the front, no fuel taken yet, and in the back, as much fuel as possible taken.
Yeah, as we come down to 25 laps to go, I want to thank you for joining us here on FTF.GG, spending your Saturday evening with us, checking out the final race of the evening, the last chance qualifying race for the WINSTEL 400, as Emily Howe and Parker Alexander bring the field to green. I imagine they're going to try and get to the same lane at some point, but Joseph not making that happen. He's shoving Gabe and Parker on that outside lane, and the 92 car is going to follow. Brian Baker on the outside lane in the 3 as well. The outside lane gets a fantastic start, and the 2 drivers in the outside lane, Gabe and Parker, jump down. We got the WINSTEL guys lined up 4 strong in the inside lane.
And Joseph trying to take advantage of that coordination that just happened there. He has fresh air in front of him, clean racetrack. Looking for a big shove out the back from Chris Champeau. So far, they're making a little bit of headway on that high lane.
Ryan Hill getting aggressive for that transfer position. He's forcing it 3 wide, shoving Chris Hancock on the outside lane. I doubt anybody's going to help him. Hill most likely end up falling through the field as Ryan A. Hill showing aggression as he's right behind that 14 of Skipper, trying to make it 3 wide again on the outside of Sean, and on the inside of Skipper, that is that purple 55 machine in the center of your screen right now.
And this is what we're talking about as we're seeing all the... Oh, we got a car upside down in the back. Another one spinning, coming back up, collecting several cars. Another one goes airborne and into the fence. A big crash in turns 1 and 2.
Oh, Josh stuck in the fence. He's trying to get it off, but he's going to have to tow. Oh, what a brutal catch fence crash in turns 1 and 2.
Looking amongst the cars that are involved, a big one is Olivia Hayward. I believe she was involved in that first one and has already used a fast repair, so that is absolutely detrimental. Joey Masowitz, Hayden Rapa. The car looks pretty clean. Not sure if he was involved, but definitely slowed down by it. Ken Huff in the same category, along with Shane Ward. Several cars involved here.
Let's see. God, we had 2 catch fence incidents. The 33 just disintegrated out of existence when he got in the fence. And you see the 72 right now on your screen. In the like, I don't know what happened at 33. He just went to another dimension when he hit that fence.
Yeah, some very unforgiving impacts for sure on this crash. We'll take another look at it as we're coming through the trial. We'll see what set this off here. We're 3 wide, and the 39 gets into the back of Masowitz, who's already pushing somebody. So you have somebody push the pusher, and that just triggers everything that happened in turn 1. Everybody else who's involved just a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, and everybody back there are drivers who, they're riding back there because you still got 25, 24 laps left. You're not wanting to be involved in an incident, and the incident finds you. That was a track blocker, and nearly everybody kind of just riding was involved in that. Yeah,
and just like I said, big impacts too. That if you have your fast repair is going to force you to use it, and if you don't have a fast repair left, like I believe may be the case with Hayward, may send you to the LCQ if it's too severe. We see some takers on pit road, though. This is going to put you in the window to make it to the end of this race.
Looking through the leaders who had stayed out previously, all coming down: Parker Alexander, Sean, Gabe, Emily Howe in the 83. You got Joseph leaving pit lane right now. He's going to lead everybody who's pitted off pit lane right now. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars staying out. It looks like Chris Hancock is going to take over lead with Ben Hancock, his brother, in that 6 car, who has had just an unlucky amount of being stuck in the outside lane so far. So the Hancock brother is going to be leading us to the green flag when we end up going back to it.
And just to follow up on what we were documenting with the foursome that had been working together at the front, not only did they have to take more fuel, they opted to take 4 tires, honoring the tire wear that is present this evening, but they've sacrificed quite a bit of track position to make that happen.
Yeah, we were talking about Emily leading. Her brother, Justin Howe, is inside the top 5 at this point, so I assume they're going to get together and work together at some point in this race. I think it's going to allow them to do that, but we are just going to have to see.
Obviously, we're just approaching halfway, but this has opened the door for the 68 of Thomas Harmon to gain some much needed track position. Was just upside down about 5 minutes ago. Passes up on a pitting opportunity, so I don't know how the fuel mileage is going to look, but if he gets a couple cautions, that may take care of that. And importantly, he's back in the mix at the very least.
As I go through, my keyboard is just giving me so much issues. That's why I'm struggling to go through the field. The car, let me check. Letting everything go through. Thomas Harmon did stop off and top off. I don't think it was necessarily on this previous caution, but on the one before, he was one of those drivers who did get extra fuel. Obviously, he had to take the faster pair as well, so Harmon having that bad luck early in the heat turned into a 5th place running position right now. This is going to be interesting because a lot of the people at the front of this pack have not been up at the front in either of the heats or in this race right now. So I would honestly look at a lot of inexperience right now leading this field.
Well, I'll point out Ben Hancock, who has been up at the front and has just been done dirty multiple times in the early laps of this race, getting shuffled out of line each time that he's made a move or each time he's found a place to run. He may now finally have a friend in somebody who shares the same last name as him and the front row with him in Chris Hancock. So be interested to see if the 6 car can find some more firm footing at the front of the field now that he has somebody to potentially work with up there. But to your point, we've definitely jumbled up the running order for sure. Now, everybody in this race is, in a pretty good category as far as ability to sim race. So I wouldn't expect any huge deviation in ability from one person to the next, but it's definitely a different cast of characters than we've been seeing at the front of this event.
You're so nice, Tyler. I wasn't even trying to throw shade at them. But yeah, I mean, the talent level, I don't know what the SOF in this field is, but it's probably easy over 6K, maybe even 7K with all the pro drivers who have participated this week. But as the Hancock siblings bring the field down to the Geico restart zone, we go green with the outside line, getting a good push by Jeremy B. Davis. Looks like the 6 car is going to have the best run here. He'll probably go to the bottom out of turn 2. The field is still side by side. No big checkups right now. As I say that, Emily Howe jumps to the outside lane, and she is currently in the 19th position. She was leading right before this yellow. Parker Alexander currently in 12th right now as they come through turns 1 and 2. This is where you start to really race for that transfer position as we have 20 laps to go.
Oh, the Hancocks get linked up on the bottom. Jeremy Davis trying to make something happen on the top, but a little bit of a touchy push from Joseph got him squarely on the back straightaway. They back up a little bit, but keep it straight and try to get reorganized. The bottom surging a little bit with that happening to the top.
I think we're about to see a master class trying to get through this field with this 83 machine. She is, clearly Emily Howe, a reason why the purse is so big, putting $500 of her own money into this as well, understands what to do. She's the creator of the setup that they're running here. I would not be shocked to see that 83 shoving anybody in front of her to the lead as she's going to jump up to the top side, get right behind Parker Alexander, especially if that middle lane, which is now the outside lane, ends up checking up some more. I think we're going to see the 63, the 83, and the 12 right back up there.
Yeah, and as that, there's definitely some urgency growing in that top lane because Joseph on the back straightaway was back to the transfer spot in 10th while running as the 2nd car in that top lane. So the pushes are going to get harder and more aggressive, or somebody behind is going to get more antsy and shuffle you if you don't start making forward progress in that lane. Better front straightaway for them so far. They crawl forward a couple cars, but boy, oh boy, it's not coming easily. Jeremy Davis just holding on to it as the shoves from that 20 come.
Yeah, Jeremy B. Davis getting dangerously close to being left on that outside lane. If Joseph does want to jump to the middle, I think he's going to have enough space to it, and then if they can't get something to happen, I imagine the 20 car is going to get frustrated and try and get around him at some point. We talked about safety in the last heat with Emily. If you're Ben, if you're Chris, if you're Justin right now, I know you're in the top 3. I know we have 19 laps to go, but I don't think you can feel safe right now, even if you're in the top 3.
No, there's just too many laps left, and you know that this racing that we're seeing right now with mostly double file formation is going to change as these laps continue to tick off. The 3rd lane will develop, the shoves will become more aggressive and more pervasive as we get closer to the end of this race. Nobody in this field should be feeling safe right now, but I will say that Hancock duo out front, I'm sure they're very thankful to be together right now, because at least they have a friend to try to make it work with.
Yeah, the only thing better than a friend is your brother, and that is exactly what they're doing right now, just holding that inside lane. So when we're looking at the cars in this outside, because I think that's where the move is going to be, I know we have the 95 of John Schwartz right now. We have Cornelius in the 77, but who do you think tries to make a move as the inside lane, or as Jeremy Davis jumps to the inside lane to take the lead right here? I have to imagine that it's the 63 or the 83 to make a move. Do you think the 77 of Cornelius jumps to the outside lane to do anything, or do you think they're just going to run in the middle?
I would look for just about anybody to go up there with the opportunity to get a big run, and especially if they get checked up in front of you, the third lane's going to get more and more tempting. At the moment, if you're in that outside lane, though, I think you feel a little bit more comfortable because there is forward progress happening in that lane. We saw Jeremy Davis take the lead, and now Joseph on the outside with Davis moving to the bottom, trying to follow suit, but now things checking up again. This is going to just make it all the more tempting to make a third lane happen. And we see some aggressive side drafting happening back there around 15th.
With aggressive side drafting as we come down to 16 laps to go. A driver who is also getting frustrated, running 19th right now, is Alex Kolonix. He is trying to make every line work as we have the 63 blinking out a little bit. Emily and Sean having to get out. We see the inside lane get back up there as well. I mean, we have some cars blinking. We have guys getting very aggressive. I honestly can't believe they haven't wrecked yet, to be honest with you.
Well, I think there's several more notches on the aggression meter left to go. Like I said, we're still in 2x2 formation. Lots of pushing going on for sure, but we're still in 2x2 formation. I would expect a lot of 3 wide to happen before we get to the conclusion of this event.
As we say that, Alex jumps to the outside lane. Look at this, Sean going up to block him and kill that momentum. That's exactly what the 83 wanted to see. I mean, like, what a beautiful block by Alex to slow that momentum down on that outside lane. I think Alex is still going to be able to possibly get by the 12 car, but if Sean doesn't go up to block that momentum, I think that 22 ends up running right by the 63 at this point, as Gabe now goes up to stop the 22's momentum. I mean, this is just a lot of blocking for, a few positions right out of the transfer, as everybody's kind of catching back up to the lead, as the leaders are getting very aggressive. Joseph now takes the lead and kind of checks at the inside lane. Emily Howe forced 3 wide, and now Parker Alexander being forced 3 wide. We are now 3 wide for the transfer position, several rows back into the field.
Yeah, and that third lane now is being led by Gabriel Mauricio, passing up the opportunity to run in line with the other WINSTEL bunch and saying, hey, I see you, Kolonix, giving a huge push on that top lane. I want that. Give that to me. And right now that's put him up in the top half dozen or so. We're now 3 wide for third, 2 wide for the lead, and 3 wide all the way back from there.
So this is a frustrating part of this. Top 10 cars making it in. If you're 3x3x3, the track is blocked. The 9 cars are selected there. You're basically battling for just luck at 10th place right now. Like there is literally nowhere to go as the field goes 3x3 all the way down. The entire field right now is 3x3x3x3. Look at this on your screen right now. I mean, this is crazy.
John Schwartz finally surges ahead to break that up, but we're still 3 wide from second on back, and we have the 3 car of Brian Baker trying to get side by side for the lead again. I mean, this is what we were saying. This is what we're going to get. We're going to have to get 3x3 racing, and as you said, if you're not in the transfer spot right now, you're seeing very limited options. The good thing that you have is time. There's still 13 laps to go. There's time for things to materialize, time to find the right shove, find the right lane that's surging forward, and get that track position. But as these laps tick off, that only decreases, and the desperation is definitely going to kick in.
Yeah, we're currently on lap 28. If you're somebody like Justin Howell, who started third in this previous restart, you have fallen down to 15th. You have to make something happen here, as we get a bit of a separation between the top 10 cars back to 3 wide. Ryan Hill, rather, making it on the inside of Alex, the 22 machine right now, as they're 3 wide, looking for 10th right now. The 3 wide, I'm not exactly sure. I was trying to look at what killed the middle and the outside lane, but right now you have a little bit of a breakaway between your top 5 cars right now.
Oh, we got some cars going around. We're looking out the back of Sean Pelling, and now on the backstretch camera, I see Evan involved in that. The 25 is trying to get it gathered up. Several cars going around off of turn 2. And this is going to bring out yet another caution. We're going to get restarted inside 10 laps to go, and all the things that we were just talking about as far as aggression and desperation, tick it up another couple notches when we get back green.
Yeah, this is a situation that is a bit of an accordion effect. We had John Schwartz and Sean be side by side, and we had a bit of a checkup from the 12 car. It may have been a bit of a net code. John ends up coming back through the field, and a lot of people are trying to both miss him and check up. And that really took out drivers like Matt Skipper, Evan Latch in the 86, doing nothing wrong. You know, Andy Trippiano involved in that as well. We have Chris Campo, who took an absolute brutal hit to the inside safer barrier. Just a ton of names taken out in this wreck.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a stack up, and as Dustin Logston checked up for it, got tagged by the 15 of Ryan Kame, and that sort of triggered everything else that happened afterwards. Things happen quick, especially when you're, having 5-10 mile an hour runs generating on people. John Schwartz just made a little contact or something with the car in front of him and got jammed up, and that compromised everybody behind him trying to compensate for that, and unfortunately they weren't able to.
Yeah, shout out to the neon green Let Jesus Take the Wheel machine flying through that on the inside lane. That was Hayden, who left turn 2 and 28th and ended up coming back around in right around 20th due to that incident.
And if there's any cars remaining in our top dozen or so, I think of Ben Hancock, and I'm looking to see if Chris Hancock is still up there. Chris is in 14th, but any of the ones that stayed out on that last caution, you welcome this for now because this is helping you save fuel if you needed to. But you definitely don't want to see this race get extended if you're close on fuel. I expect just about everybody else in the field should be good to go at this point. But there's a half dozen or so, if they don't top off at this point, if they hang on to their track position, that are probably watching the fuel pressure at this point.
Yeah, Brock Whitehead getting one of his 2 laps back after disappearing into the fence a couple cautions ago. Your current top 10 right now: Brian Baker, Joseph, Parker Alexander, Emily Howe, David Cornelius, Jeremy B. Davis, Ryan Hill. I would argue that these guys are quote-unquote in the safe character or safe area, because that's top 7. 8th is Gabe, 9th is Anthony, and Alex Kolonix rounding out your top 10 right now. I think I don't know if these guys are necessarily safe, but if you're Jeremy B. Davis, if you're Cornelius, certainly if you're Parker Alexander, I think at this point we're getting down to a situation where you're going to have right around 9 laps to go, 8 laps to go when this restart happens. If we get another caution and it's not with the leaders, then you're just going to restart in the top 5, top 6, and then you just have to survive the last green-white checkered. So at this point, if you're Emily, if you're Parker, if you're Joseph, I think you can kind of start feeling a bit safe, because we're going to end up having another wreck at some point.
Well, I'll say I disagree with you to some extent. The further you get towards the front, the better you feel about it. But anybody who's not in those first couple of rows, if there's any sort of checkup or stall on the restart, you could very quickly get kicked out of one of those safe transfer positions. So I think that the level of aggression needs to stay high, even if you're in one of those transfer spots right now, because the people that are coming from behind you are going to be giving it all they've got to get through and into a transfer spot. So, yeah, cautions may be your friend, incidents may be timely, but I think that we saw a little bit in the first 2 heats. Everybody's capable of racing as well, so there's no guarantee that the caution flag is going to bail you out if something stalls your momentum.
Looking back at the heat that you were in, what is a more intense race? Because we saw a 3x3 racing for several laps in this one. We really haven't seen that a ton in the 2 heat races. And with your heat, yes, it was insane. Yes, it was crazy. A lot of pressure on you to stay in the top 5. Do you think that the pressure is really built up? Like, honestly, when it comes to qualifying into this event with these heat races, like, do you feel more pressure as you keep going on, or do you just feel like, all right, my one plan is to go out there and win or be in the top 10 to disqualify? Like, do you think there's more pressure in this race than the heats, or what do you think about that?
I think the pressure is definitely increasing because everybody was acutely aware that only about a third of the field, a little bit more, was going to make it from the heat races. Well, now you're on to the second chance race. a little more than a quarter of the field is going to transfer from here. If you don't make it in this race, there's only a handful making it in the last chance qualifier tomorrow night. So this restart is going to be very key if you want to be in the WINSTEL 400 tomorrow night.
Joseph and Brian Baker, your two drivers on each line on the inside and the outside, being pushed by Parker Alexander in 63 and Emily Howe in the 83. We see a bit of a three-wide racing. Alex Kolonix being forced three wide. We have Ben Hancock in the 6, not giving him, and we do have a yellow in turns 1. A lot of cars still sideways as we have some flying back up the track. Scott Tompkins and Joey seem to be the two cars involved. As I keep going through, we do have Ryan in the 15 have a ton of damage. We have Skipper currently smoking on the apron. I'm not exactly sure what happened. This must have happened pretty much right entering turn 3, probably 25th on back.
Yeah, it looks like some three wide happened around 20th, and then a little bit of netcode contributed to it, and sent a car sideways. Looked like Evan Locke in the 86 to get everything started there, and then obviously the field's all stacked up. There's not going to be much of a place to go once somebody gets turned sideways in front of the field.
Man, just we're talking about the pressure of the guys inside the top 10, and we really didn't even talk about the pressure that, like, I understand some people might be frustrated that we're quote-unquote wrecking for last, but this situation, we're down to less than 7 laps left. Like, you literally have to make something happen. Any run that you get, any advantage that you see, this is a product of everybody trying to take every inch that they can get.
Well, I mean, you see this move. It's Andy Tripiano catching Olivia Hayward, maybe a little bit off guard, and sticking the nose underneath, making it 3 wide on the restart, and then they all start dooring each other from there. But if you're 21st, 19th, 20th, there's only 8 laps left, and you know that you were talking about it as we were getting ready to go back green. There's only going to be so much green flag racing left potentially. You cannot afford to pass up any opportunity, and unfortunately that sort of contributes to limiting those opportunities. And oh my goodness, I don't know if we've been showing it on the broadcast, but there was a wreck after the fact in turn 2.
Oh no, let's check it out. I did not even see that. Oh my gosh. Oh, poor Howe in the 32 car, not having anywhere to go.
Yeah, if we queue up the 18 car, Chris Hancock, we can sort of see where it all started.
I didn't even know that. That was a great catch, Tyler.
That is really unfortunate because the caution was either out or about to be out, and then a big shove comes as they're exiting turn 2 and just sends several cars up towards the wall, and they bounce off, come down, and collect a few more. That's, boy, oh boy. I don't have the driver comms open, and it's probably for the best because I'm sure it's not pretty.
I don't know who it was. I know I heard somebody up in the top 10 say, "Do you not have your spotter on?" I thought I was talking to those guys. It must have been that wreck because that had to come out. Actually, looking at it, that came out right after the yellow. So in that situation where somebody got out of the gas at just the worst point, like just an accidental, maybe even drag the brake a little bit and caused several cars being collected in that well after the caution that, or the crash that brought it out in turn 1.
Yeah, taking a closer look at it with my own ability to look at the replay, it does look like everybody was starting to roll out of the gas. The caution had been out for several seconds, and just different rates of deceleration really led to a coming together there. And boy, that's got to be very upsetting if you were up there in the top 15 and, if not in a transfer spot, at least close to it, well past the caution's out, and suddenly find yourself hitting the wall and hitting other cars. That's an unfortunate turn of events for everybody that was involved in that secondary incident. Just
man, wrecking after the yellow comes out, it has to be one of the worst feelings in all of racing. You're just trying to survive. You're not really expecting anything to happen, and I think that's more frustrating than being involved in a wreck just actually racing.
Yep, but as it is, that's the situation for all those cars that were involved, and their misfortune is somebody else's fortune potentially. As we look through the field, I'm seeing Alex Kolonix in the 022 as the bubble car as we get set for this restart. Ben Hancock in 9th, Ryan A. Hill in 8th, Gabriel Mauricio 7th, Jeremy B. Davis in 6th, Devin Cornelius in 5th, Emily Howe 4th, Parker Alexander 3rd, Brian Baker 2nd, and Joseph in 1st. And critically, you'll be looking at the cars 11th, 12th, and so on back, trying to get on the right side of the bubble. That's Anthony Krobeck, Tate Lytle, and Sean Palig 11th, 12th, and 13th. But I'm sure some of the other cast of characters 14th on back, if we can get some green flag racing in, we'll have something to say about that transfer spot as well.
You mentioned green flag race, and we're going to be coming down to 4 laps to go in regulation. We do have 1 green-white checkered available, so if we get a yellow within the next couple of laps before we get to the white, we'll have a green-white checkered to decide this one. But I can't... Oh, man, I think we're going to have so many people blocking for 10th. Like, I can't imagine Alex is going to let somebody get his outside. I can't imagine Sean is going to let that happen. Dustin Logston is finally back after receiving some damage early in this race. Olivia Hayward also going to be aggressive. Andy Trippiano in 18th. I mean, we've seen a lot of aggression from him in his heat, and in this race here, I mean, this is about to be mayhem for 11th as the field comes through the tri-oval once more. Joseph leads the field with Brian Baker on his outside. Same pairing as last time with Parker Alexander and Emily Howe pushing them to right. And we've mentioned it. The battle is for the 10th position right now. That is being held by Ben Hancock as it goes to Alex Kolonix right now as that pass happens. And a bit of a separation right now between the rest of the field. We do have Andy Trippiano trying to make something happen behind the 86 car. We're going to have to see if Evan in the 86 wants to do anything or just ride behind Sean, as Chris in the 92 machine seems like he has damage, so he's dropping back to the inside lane. I mean, we're about to see a whole different pack of guys up in the top 10 as the inside lane kind of dies entering turns 3 and 4.
Oh, and I think that's a little bit of a mistake for Brian Baker. Just took the lead off of a shove from Emily Howe, but surrendered the top lane, which is rolling at the moment, and went down to the bottom. Emily takes advantage of that, goes to the lead. Jeremy Davis follows through into second, but it looks like the bottom's getting bound up a little bit in the early going on this restart. 3 laps to go as we head into turn 1. 10th place right now, Sean Pellick in that 12, battling side by side with Gabriel Mauricio in the 04. Now get the edge of the 04. The position changes with every moment.
John drops down behind the 04. Now the transfer position falls to Tate in the 56 machine as Kolonix has a bit of a checkup. That's going to put Ben Hancock in the transfer position and possibly put Alex Kolonix on the outside looking in. We're going to be coming to 2 laps to go here as the rest of the field erects.
A car.
Skipper 1, 2, 3, 4 times over, still on his roof, back on all 4s. A man who was involved in the last crash out of fast repairs. Unfortunate wreck for that driver of the number 14.
Yeah, that is going to relegate Skipper to the last chance qualifier if he's going to want to participate in the WINSTEL 400 if he is out of fast repairs, because you can see that is major damage from a car that went pirouetting through the air in turns 3 and 4. We'll see if we can get a look at what triggered that one.
Listen to Parker going over on the radio. As we look at this instant entering turn 3, let me go back to it, as it's up on your screen. Let's see, a bit of a checkup happens. Skipper's on the inside lane, and I think he just doesn't have anywhere to go as the 33 hits the wall. And Hayden comes in, kind of sends him into the wall, and just the 25 comes back up and causes him to flip. The Skipper did absolutely nothing wrong there. That's so unlucky.
Yeah, the 33 just got offline. That's Brock Whitehead up in that high lane, gets into the wall, and when that happens, comes bouncing off of it, and everybody to the inside at that point has no time to check up or try to do anything about it. Scott Tompkins in that 25 comes down across the nose of Matt Skipper, and he gets sent into the wall, bounces off the 25 again, and goes for a spectacular looking ride, but obviously not a very productive one.
We were talking about it with Emily in heat number 2, how you only have 2 incidents for the weekend, instance being if you cause a wreck and bring out a yellow, so on and so forth. Those 2 incidents follow you throughout the weekend. Your first disqualification from the event is Brock Whitehead, who has used both of his incidents, so his run at being a possible WINSTEL 400 champion is done in that 33 machine.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for him, and then obviously it's unfortunate for everybody that was just collected in that incident, and it's unfortunate for the rest of the field, unless you're, in one of those first half dozen spots, because now you feel pretty good about only 2 laps having to hold off, folks. We're going to be entering a point of no return, green, white, checkered finish. But that's obviously going to be something that everybody needs to be cognizant of. Even if things get messy here, you need to stay in the throttle and keep digging all the way to the checkered flag, because you are racing 5 miles mostly no matter what. I know that the second heat had an error in a caution being thrown during the point of no return, but I will not expect that to happen again. I would expect to see us race the 5 miles here on this green, white, checkered.
Yeah, as I said in the last heat, it is time to just tape that throttle down, and I don't think you can afford to even lift off the gas. You just have to take whatever line is available, whether it be the middle or the outside. One driver that I want to focus on primarily here is the 022 of Alex Kolonix. As I've said before, a 2-time winner of the pole for the WINSTEL 400, has not locked his way in. He is currently 11th, one position out of the transfer spot. If anybody is going to make something happen, I imagine it'll be that red 22 machine. And if I was behind him, I would follow that man to the end of the earth at this point.
Well, I'll also point you. So he's the first one on the wrong side of the transfer spot. Ben Hancock in the number 6 car currently holds the last transfer spot if the race ended right now, which obviously it's not, but that's where we stand. Anthony Kroback has worked his way back to 12th after that incident on the back straightaway, so he's in contention to make the WINSTEL 400. Tate Lytle in 13th. Evan Locke, who was just tangled up in one a few laps ago, is in 14th, has a shot at it. Chris Champeau in 15th, Andy Trupiano 16th, Jonathan Hernandez 17th, Ryan Kame 18th, Dustin Logston, who's, boy oh boy, been hit by just about everything it seems like, he's 19th, and Justin Howe really wishes that he was flanking Emily at this point. I'm sure Emily's in the top half dozen, Justin's in 20th, but those are some of the names that are going to be charging forward here. Like I said, Ben Hancock, Ryan Hill, Sean Pellig, Jeremy B. Davis, those are going to be some of the ones scratching and clawing to maintain what they have over these final 5 miles. It's going to be, I've said it, if you make your way into this race, you're going to have earned it, especially with this setup.
One thing that played huge factors at the green, white, checkered of heat number 1 was damage on certain cars. The 23 has a little bit on the right rear and on the rear deck. The 86 has some damage as well. Andy Trupiano in the 34 has some damage. And so this is a situation where we're going to be seeing cars with damage trying to push and be aggressive here. So we might see a bit of a breakaway between the top 10 cars and some of the guys in the team positions here as we come through for one final time tonight here on FTF.GG. Thank you for joining us on your Saturday evening as we decide who are the last top 10 qualifiers for the WINSTEL 400 tonight. Yet again, we take 3 tomorrow right before the main, but this is the last big group of them as the race for the transfer spot is on.
And a little bit of a stack on the bottom comes with a big 3-wide move for Ryan Hill. The urgency from the 9th place driver on that restart, knowing he cannot afford to lift, puts Jeremy B. Davis in the middle, and now he's the one without friends, looking for somebody to come up and give him a push up the middle. Andy Trupiano looking for a way forward, gets up on the back of that 4 car. Now Alex Kolonix trying to get to the inside of Hill. Boy, everything is just all over the place right now. Everybody making daring moves, trying to get as far away from 10th or get as close to 10th as they can.
Partnerships not paying out. Cornelius, who's 4th, taking the green flag, falling out of the top 10. He's going to get turned by the 6 car. The field is wrecking. We're going to decide the top 10 by the guys surviving in this wreck, as nearly everybody is involved in the wreck, who is 13th on back. Right now, I'm looking at right around 14 cars coming through. I'm trying to count the transfer positions. Your top 3 pulling away. Brian Baker, Parker Alexander, and Emily Howe not really worrying about anything. Gabriel and Sean in the 04 and the 12 want to try, say something, want to try and get the win here, as we have Joseph and Ryan A. Hill on the inside in the 55 machine. Transfer position.
The top dozen are in contention for the transfer. Everybody further back needs some help. They need another incident if they're going to make it. Right now, they're side by side for 11th. That's welcome news for Evan Locke, who's side by side for 9th right now with Jeremy B. Davis. They would be in the top 10. Let's see what the run is coming to the line.
Tate gets the run. Jeremy B. Davis puts him in the wall. I think Jeremy may have made it at the end. Anthony is actually the last transfer position.
Oh,
Jeremy
wow.
Davis came across in 11th. Just a last move, a last moment, a last change of position put Anthony from 12th to 10th coming to the line there.
Yeah, it looked like Jeremy B. Davis tried to get up there to side draft Evan Locke, and a little bit of server connection, issues rearing their ugly head once again in this race. Sent his car ricocheting off to the right when there was phantom contact, and that probably looked like the most aggressive block by him to Tate Lytle, but it doesn't look like that was what was intended.
It wasn't what was intended, but Jeremy, you would have made it in if you would. I think he's done that again. I think he did that in 2020, coming across the line in the heat race as well. Just unfortunate. He was locked in, and he literally lost the position maybe 30 feet away from the start-finish line.
We're looking at the incident that took so many others out of contention here when Cornelius went spinning around, and you could see more than a dozen cars getting directly involved in this crash, and several more getting stalled enough where their hopes of transferring through this race ended. I see John Schwartz there. I believe that's Ben Hancock in the 6 car, who was part of the inciting incident to that crash. There's Ken Huff in the 55. A lot of cars involved right there. And then there were a couple that were going to be on the outside looking in amongst those that were still in the draft. Tate Lytle here thinks he has a run and a chance to maybe make it through, and the contact or the non-contact between Jeremy Davis and Evan Locke here ends that opportunity and opens the door for the 23 of Anthony Krobach.
Yeah, what a bloodfest coming out of turn 2, taking the white flag, and even Sean after the yellow upside down in multiple ways. Just a crazy event. Let's go through your top 10 right fast of the transfer positions, then we'll talk to a few of these drivers. Parker Alexander wins the second chance race after starting second in heat number 2, forced out of line, didn't even have a chance at the top 10 in that race. He comes back and wins this race. Brian Baker finishes second, Joseph third, Emily Howe fourth, Gabe fifth, Sean making his return to the WINSTEL 400 after not making it either last year or the year before. He's back in it. Ryan A. Hill, first year attempt for Evan Latch. He's going to finish 8th and qualify his way in. Alex Kolinick's going to make his 3rd straight WINSTEL 400. And Anthony Krobach finishing 10th. Jeremy B. Davis, your first driver, having to go back to the last chance qualifier.
And that tri-oval trouble amounted to just less than 2/100ths of a second between Jeremy B. Davis and being in on the event. And obviously Tate Lytle getting walled there, obviously saw it slip away in those final few feet. Chris Hancock finishes 13th, Ryan Kane 14th, Andy Trupiano 15th, John Schwartz, Olivia Hayward, Hayden Rapa, Thomas Harmon, and Joey Masowitz rounding out the top 20. All of these guys on this page and on this page relegated to the last chance qualifier tomorrow before the WINSTEL 400, where only a handful of cars will make their way through into the main event. Roger Saucier, Dustin Logston, the other names that I didn't say, Ken Huff, Scott Tompkins, Matt Skipper, Josh Burnett, and Brock Whitehead rounding out the field.
I'm talking to the head of one of the people who I think were engineering most of the moves and decisions for the WINSTEL Machinist Union. It's Emily. She was in the booth for heat number 2 with me, in the booth for qualifying yesterday. Just a huge role in building the setup and everything. Emily, what was it like leading really the WINSTEL Machinist units foursome for a majority of this race on the inside line? Like, you guys were in control. I'd like to get Parker in here and have his opinion as well, but Emily, did that go exactly according to plan, or were you worrying at certain times?
Pretty much we kind of came in with the idea of, like, we're not going to have a plan and try to organize 4 cars. We're just going to try to get to the front as hard as we can. If we can help each other along the way, we'll do it. But that was some of the most intense racing we've had in a long time. That 3 wide mid race where me, Parker, and Sean all started moving forward in the middle was just absolute holding your breath time. And then at the end, it was terrifying. The 3 car had a really good bumper for me. I don't know how it was for Parker, but when the 3 of us kind of got locked out there, we kind of started, eventually getting hot and starting to lose that push. And I was worried that we were going to be a sitting duck and the pack was going to catch us again and just either blow by us, or, we were going to have that stack up. So I was really trying hard to keep on Parker and not get pulled back in the clutch of the pack there. So, out of 4, I made a pretty decent block to try to, break up their run and kind of keep us in the top 5 there. So excellent job of execution. We played a different strategy than most of them. We had to work way back up through there, but I'm glad to be in it. I'm glad to be in the booth for the last chance qualifier tomorrow.
how we can we can sit back and enjoy that, not having to race our way in. Speaking of that, with this event, we want a lot of the WINSTEL regulars to be a part of it. From heat number 1, heat number 2, looking a bit sketchy that a majority of them might not end up making it. We're going to have a majority of the WINSTEL regulars in this event. Like, what does that mean? Like, to have a lot of people that and you understand how they race, and you've worked together not only in this event leading up, or not only this week leading up to this event, but just week to week activities. Like, what does that mean, having a good amount, like near 13, 14 drivers that you race week in and week out being in this event tomorrow?
I mean, it means everything, just because there's so many of us that look at this race. This is insane racing all the way through, and the 4 of us, me, Parker, Sean, and Gabe, just being able to work together, not even just intentionally, but just the confidence and the knowing that we could trust each other to hang it out at the edge, really let us kind of have an advantage and kind of move our way through the field in a way that most guys couldn't.
Well, congratulations on making it in, finishing 4th. I know the first heat didn't work the way you wanted, but you're in. The stress is gone. You can enjoy the rest of the weekend. You can enjoy looking forward to the race. So congratulations on your 4th place finish tonight.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to send it over to Tyler, who I believe has the winner, Parker Alexander, coming back from not being able to really finish the heat race that he started second in. I'll send it over to Tyler now.
Yeah, we have Parker joining us here, able to navigate a very chaotic second chance qualifier, and not only navigate it, but win the whole thing and stamp a ticket to the WINSTEL 400. Parker, what's the feeling right now? I think the feeling is away from keyboard potentially.
I stepped away. Do we not have Parker? Is he too busy celebrating and drinking beers right now?
I was all pushed to talk, and I unhooked my wheel. I apologize. Let me tell you something. We're feeling pretty damn good. What?
So you're feeling good? Are you feeling relieved, or do you want to race the 400 miles right now?
I could go right now, buddy. Let me tell you. I am so happy. I got the best damn teammates in the damn race. I got the best. I'm just feeling the best, man. I'm hyped.
Well, Emily was just talking to us, and she said that you, Gabe, and Sean didn't really approach this as, hey, we're all going to explicitly work together. We're just going to try to surge to the front as best we can. How do you feel about the way that resulted?
It definitely resulted well. I mean, we all made it. It's a shame I think Skipper was in there, man. I'm sucks that he didn't make it, but yeah, I mean, anytime I'm looking to go through the field, I'm looking for either Sean, Gabe, Emily, any of those other WINSTEL regulars, because we really work well together. So anytime I have the opportunity to work with them, I take it, because it's definitely beneficial to them and to me. And I'm just ready to get this. If this race tomorrow is half as fun as this was, I think we're in for a pretty damn good event.
Well, that leads into my next tandem of questions. The first one is, obviously you're going to be in the 400, and we saw we saw a bunch of 3-wide racing there in the middle of the race that looked very hairy but also fun. How much of what we saw today are you expecting to see tomorrow in the big show?
I'm expecting to see a lot of it. I mean, with the crop of guys we got racing, I wouldn't be surprised if we can pull that off for most of the race tomorrow. But I would not be surprised if there was some low points. Obviously, you get into one of those longer events, there's going to be some low points, but it's definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we do get a lot of 3-wide racing. It's a lot of fun to do that. It's obviously pretty scary, but once you get that fear out of the back of your mind, you can just go, and it's a ball.
And then I want to kind of shift your mindset from where you sit to where a bunch of the folks that finished 11th on back sit right now. Obviously, you came into the second chance race knowing that, okay, here's another opportunity to make it, but I have one less than I did starting the night. How do you think it feels for any of those folks that are racing in the LCQ, which you've avoided by winning this one?
I've never had to go through an LCQ, but I'm sure it's stressful. only 4 spots remain, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are more than 20 cars in that race tomorrow. So those aren't great odds, but they're not terrible odds, I guess. I mean, there could be worse, but it's good to be in the race. That's all I have to say. It's good to not have to worry about that. And man, I could go all night. I'm so happy right now.
That's kind of where I was going with that. Is that's a worry that you don't have to have at this point. You can just look forward to 400 miles of racing.
Yeah. Before I get out of here, I just want to say thanks to obviously Emily, Gabe, and Sean. Great guys and gal to work with. But yeah, I want to say thank you to them. Thank you to obviously Bud, Brennan, you, everybody that puts this event on. It's a great race to be a part of, and this is probably, honestly, it's my favorite time of the year. Anytime this race comes around, it's a pretty fun time.
Well, we have more than 400 miles racing left to go, and we're going to be seeing you in the main 400 miles tomorrow night. Congratulations on the win tonight, and best of luck to you tomorrow night.
Yeah, congratulations on you two for making it and not have to race that. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
That's Parker Alexander, winner of the second chance qualifier tonight. We had Jeremy Stanley win heat number 1. We have and 12 others that were able to transfer in through that in the first heat. We had 13 more drivers advance through the second heat, myself included, and of course Blake Reynolds, who won that event, and now Parker Alexander and 9 more through this second chance qualifier. We had 2 transfer from the front row last night through qualifying. Christian Budd, who is one of the fervent administrators, definitely behind the efforts in a big way to put on our 2003 season that's coming up in February. He's locked in as a promotional provisional. And Brennan McGee, since he qualified on the front row, opens up one more spot through that last chance qualifier tomorrow night. So we'll be looking for 4 cars to transfer, and dozens of people are still eligible to run that race and try to get one of those 4 spots. So that'll be quite an interesting show to kick off the night tomorrow, and then 400 miles of racing in the WINSTEL 400 right here on ftf.gg at 7:30 tomorrow night. Cruz, if you're still here, anything else that you want to add as far as what to look forward to tomorrow?
I mean, it's going to be absolute insane racing. I'd like to talk to Sean, Anthony, and Gabriel right before we end up cutting the stream. I'd like to talk to Sean next, who is a guy who has gone through a lot of frustration in his attempts to qualify for this race. I know in the past years he has failed to qualify in. So if we can bring Sean in to talk, and that's also another aspect of my push of having the regular WINSTEL guys in this event. This is really the first time that we've had a majority of our weekly competitors in. And so we bring Sean up here. Sean, I was saying that there's been years that you've made the event. There's been years that you've missed it in LCQs and heats. What does it feel like to finally qualify in, especially after how frustrating the heat 1 was for you?
Yeah, it was a weight lifted off my shoulders. Definitely a relief. I don't think it's too much of a secret that I wasn't very happy with how my heat finished. I thought I'd made all the right choices, put myself in a good position, and had it taken away by the powers that be. But this was a tough race, stop start a lot with a lot of cautions. I'm glad I was able to work my way back up and be in a position where I could do something at the end.
Yeah, and entering tomorrow's race, I want you to be happy, just once, just enjoy being in the event, even if we get wrecked out or whatever. I just want you to enjoy it. You made the event, you finally did it. At the end of heat 1, you said you did everything right, and it still didn't work out. Well, you finally did everything right, and it went your way. So I'm so happy to finally have you in the event again.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I'm gonna come into tomorrow with a smile on my face, and hopefully we walk out with an even bigger smile on my face. But I guess we'll just have to see how those 400 miles take us.
I know. I look forward to seeing you finish second behind me. So I think it's going to be a fun day.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Would you like to talk to Gabe, Tyler, and I'll end with Anthony?
I think we're going to bring up Anthony at this point. I think that's what we're talking about in the booth chat that we have here. Anthony Kroback joins us, the 10th place finisher by a nose. Anthony, how are you feeling right now?
I'm still on edge, honestly. I mean, there's no resting until we cross the start finish line. I knew I was in a bad spot on the final restart. I was kind of just boxed in and at the mercy of everybody in front of me. But by the grace of God, we just got in by a nose. So I'm feeling good now. I'm feeling good now for sure.
What was the mix of emotions coming off of turn 4 and then to the start finish line? Because I'm sure that you felt like you had a chance to get a run there, but it wasn't materializing until just the last second.
Yeah. Well, I had a problem like sucking up to guys behind me all night. Really. I mean, I didn't use the quick repair at the beginning, and I just like hand fixed my damage, and I figured like it's still kind of a rolled up tin can at that point. So I was kind of fighting that all night. But honestly, I was just hoping for the best coming off of 4, and just so happened that I guess the seas parted, and I just got as much as I possibly could, and it was enough. It was enough.
Hey, whether you finished first like Parker or you finished 10th by a nose like you did, you're in the WINSTEL 400 either way. So congratulations for sure, and I hope you're excited for 400 miles tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm pretty amped. Gotta thank you guys for putting this on. This is an awesome event. And shout out to Davin Cornelius. I hate it for him that he didn't make it, but we'll represent the big fans well tomorrow night.
Awesome. Congratulations again on your 10th place finish, and more importantly, on making your way into tomorrow night's WINSTEL 400. Best of luck to you.
Thanks. See you guys tomorrow.
And that was Anthony, your 10th place finisher, final transfer spot for today. Remember that we do get 4 more drivers transferring tomorrow at the last chance qualifier. That'll be a 30-lap event. That starts tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch all the racing action here on FTFTG.
It'll be a 30-lap feature to transfer 4 drivers. I'm not sure what just happened there. But then that will set a field of 43 drivers for the 7:30 right here on FTF.GG, WINSTEL 400. $1,000 in prizes to be doled out for the top 20 finishers and for the clean driver of the race. So it's a really, really exciting event that is just around the corner here in less than 24 hours.
And then tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time is the main event, the one we've all been racing for, the one that everybody wants to win and be a part of. It's the WINSTEL 400. 160 laps around this. The first time we've been to the 2011 Daytona, the first year that we are not at the bumpy 2007 track. For Tyler Head, I'm Brandon Cruz. Thank you, Zach, in the booth for making everything happen, making the broadcast look great, and everybody who tuned in to watch the heat races and the second chance qualifier. I will see you guys tomorrow for the last chance qualifier and for the main event. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for watching.